this is Hemal Patel, and I wanted to answer a question from somebody on the Facebook page. His name is Jonathan, a good friend of mine, and he asked me a question regarding his Facebook page. It's a business that he has that he's trying to do some advertising for, and it's not going so great. So not only is it a great learning lesson for everybody because of the stuff that I'll go into, but the target audience is very interesting too. The niche that he's in is very interesting. So it might be a little bit of confirmation on people who work on a very specific niche that you can still target people on Facebook. So his business is called myrecoverystore.com. You can see it right here. He works, let me go back again. His business is called myrecoverystore.com. It's providing tokens, books, clothing, and jewelry to people who are Alcoholic Anonymous, Narcotic Anonymous, and I don't know what the HA stands for. But these are people who have gone through something and are now recovering. So he's selling products to them and motivating them through the Facebook page. So in talking to him a little bit before, this can be two different people that he will promote to. Number one is the person who's actually going through the recovery, and they might buy themselves something from his store, or a friend, a family member, or somebody who's supporting the person who's going through the recovery. They might buy something for them as a gift. So two types of potential customers. The one we're going to talk about right now is the one who's actually going through the recovery. So a little bit of insight in what Jonathan gave me. He said that he's been doing a little bit of advertising and he's gotten a lot of Facebook likes. So let's look real quick. 2,863 likes on his Facebook page, which is fantastic. He got those likes from boosting his ads, which means he just boosted these pictures and the posts that are below, and people liked them. You can see 49 likes right here, and then they eventually like the page, which is great because these people have shown interest in the message that he's sharing over here. And then the next thing he did after boosting the ads is the carousel, which I just saw right up here, right here. So this is the actual product push that he's trying to do. So $11 mug that's relevant to his target audience, right? He has spent a little bit of money on this. I think he said about $67, and he has not gotten much conversions at all on it. So I think he said almost zero. So Jonathan, I appreciate you sharing the insight. It will help the rest of the viewers really understand what to do better. Let's talk about a little bit of what who he was targeting in this advertising. So I have my notes right here. He was targeting mostly women. He was targeting a little bit of the men audience, but mostly women, ages 21 to 45. And the targeting was focused on Alcoholics Anonymous, sobriety, and terms like that. And he did a little bit of narrowing of the audience, and we'll go into that a little bit after. So first off the bat, there's a lot of things that go into this right here, this mug being able to sell or not. It could be that his landing page is not working right. It could be that it doesn't have enough trust, like it doesn't have like a, maybe a 30-day guarantee or some sort of, guaranteed like that. So it could be a lot of factors into what's not helping him sell the product. But the specific thing that I'm going to go into first is usually the very beginning of the mistakes that you start making, and that's targeting on Facebook. So that's the whole thing of this video, is to talk about the targeting that he is doing on Facebook, and we're going to get right into it. So I'm in the ads manager right now. I just went ahead and I picked an objective, which was, let me just go back and show it to you real quick. For the purpose of this video, I'm not going to be talking about the different things you could use as your objective for the campaign. It doesn't matter, and I'll make another video in the future to talk to you about that. I just picked traffic for the sake of him wanting traffic to his website, which is where he sells the mugs. So if you, right off the bat, 18 to 65-year-old people in US only, he can reach a possible potential reach of 222 million people, which is ridiculous. You don't want to target that many people or even near that amount, just because these people are extremely irrelevant. I would be one of these people, and I do not, relate to this product. So when you have an online business like Jonathan does, you want to target maybe 50 to 100,000 people, and even lower if possible, because you get really targeted. So it's really good the lower you get. But an ideal number is 50 to 100,000 people, not dollars. 50 to 100,000 people when you're doing a website marketing, like promoting a product or something. When I'm going in here, as far as all this stuff goes, I'll make another video about it, but Jonathan could be targeting everyone in the US. Again, mostly women, I guess, ages. I'll leave all this stuff alone because it's not the main purpose of this discussion. It's this right here. This is a beast right here, detailed targeting. So, if you go to browse, you'll see a lot of different things as far as who you can target. I'll just give you a very random example. If you wanted to target somebody who worked in a certain job sector and all that, you could do that. Very powerful stuff right here. But for the sake of ours, we're going to let it fill in information for us. So you can see I'm just doing random research and it filled that in already. But Alcoholics Anonymous. ALCO. Okay, so right here, this is a very interesting part that I want to get to right away. So number one mistake is that people would put either of these in here, whichever number was higher, right? Of course, the Alcoholics Anonymous on the top is higher because that's the people who are interested in that. The bottom ones are people who actually employed or employers or whatnot of that area. So you may or may not want to target those kind of people. For the sake of this video, we're going to be doing the interest because these are people who are interested in that topic, right? When people are interested in this topic, they either liked a page or a group, or they came up here and they searched for it in Facebook, whatnot. So Google's or Facebook's algorithm kind of picked that up, and it's like this person could be relevant to what you're providing, right? So what people usually do is now Facebook will give you options. So they'll go, okay, Narcotics Anonymous, because Jonathan's page had that. I did a little bit of research beforehand, so this 12-step program thing, it has to do something about Alcoholics Anonymous. So you could possibly target that. Addiction and recovery groups, sobriety. The mistake that people make is they go on and on and on with adding the groups, and they think, oh, okay, let's see what we have right here. 3.2 million people. They think that that's all you need to do to create a campaign and succeed, right? Because you have these people who are interested. What you want to do, what Jonathan said he already did, was narrow the audience even more. So you want to go down here, and people who fit this audience, they need to also like this secondary requirement, which is, I'm just going to make it up for the sake of this video, but let's just say these are all anonymous programs, and they also need to be part of the sobriety program, right? So we had about 3.2 million people before, and you can see immediately it went to 430,000 people. And the reason it did that is because before, when people were in part of this group, they could have been part of this group. It's and or kind of thing. Like they could be part of this or this or this or this. What happened now is that they're either part of one of these and they have to be part of this interest right here. So this right here is tip number 2. It's very important that you kind of narrow down right here. And you can go even further, narrow down even one more. I have no idea what we would do. Let's just see what we can do. This is an interesting one. So when I was doing my research beforehand, do not assume that just because it has the word alcoholic in there that it's going to be working out. Do some research and open it up. And so I plugged this in, and this page makes no sense. I even translated it, and it makes no sense. It has nothing to do with Alcoholics Anonymous or anything. So this would be a terrible page to target. So what you would do right here is I would do this. I would exclude people who are part of that audience to be in here, and just so they never come in here, and then come back here, and then addiction recovery group. I'm just going to make it up again. But you can see the number actually went higher. What did I do? Oh, I put it in the same thing. So I need to narrow further. And addiction recovery. The number should be getting smaller, of course. There's 240,000 people, right? So you see what I'm getting at. Tip number 2, like I said, was to narrow down the audiences like Jonathan is doing. What happens, the mistake that people make is that they assume that all these terms are that they're good, like the one that we had down here, like alcoholicshare.org. You just look at it off the bat. It looks like they're sharing. It's a sharing group kind of support group or whatnot kind of website, but it's not. It's totally irrelevant. So when you have these terms right here, I would recommend you go back over here and put it in, and I'll actually do that. Oh. You go in here and you paste it, and you see what this is about. So with this term right here, this is the stuff that comes up. And so you have like these addicts in recovery. That's 11,000 member group. Let me tell you a little bit about group. This might be tip number 3. So targeting groups is extremely powerful. It's extremely valuable. But what happens is that some of these groups you cannot target. So you can plug this in and you see you cannot target that group, right? You cannot do it. Let me see if we can find one that you can target. You want to target, you of course want groups that are really big. These are all pretty small groups. Yeah, these are all pretty small groups. You cannot target them. What Jonathan could do if he was really, focused on this business is to join these groups and then build rapport with them, the members and whatnot, and then promote the products that way. Here's one that's 5,000 people. And these are, private groups probably because you have to join them and whatnot. So that's why you can't ever promote them. But there are some of them that like you can promote too. All these things right here too, alcoholic beverages are things that you want to exclude. So they definitely don't need to be liking those alcoholic beverages to be part of the organization or the search traffic. So like they can definitely not like that. So the number went down to 47,000. So it reduced the people who were, part of the sobriety program, but they also liked Anheuser-Busch and all that kind of stuff. So this is a perfect audience right here. You want to test it out. What I'm showing you right here is just the potential of how narrow you can get. What you need to know is that I don't have the right answers and you do not have the right answers. You need to test it out. And the great thing about Facebook with their advertising is that you can test out with as little as $5. You can test out $5. See, and if I go down to $4, it will not let me do it. $5 a day is plenty enough to where you can get some really good data and you can not go broke from this advertising. So it's definitely, something you want to do. I would recommend going down at least 3 levels. So one, a very general topic or interest group. Then you go down to something else, and then you finally have another one. And in each of these 2 right here, you want to have just probably one title so that or one field. In the very top one, you can have all these set up. And then you definitely want to have some exclusions. Just like I said, alcoholic beverages, they should not be liking that if they're part of this group right here. And they shouldn't like some of these random websites that make no sense at all. So to find all these things, you just write the word, like for him, he would have wrote the word alcoholic and he would have seen the list of all the different things. And you just scroll through it for a bit. You can either Google the website or just go to the website, or you can go to Facebook search and throw in these terms and see what comes out of it. And, time yourself 10-15 minutes for that research part and really get that going, okay? The other part where you can make a mistake, this is probably tip number 3, is the placement. So you never want to do automatic placement. You never ever want to do that. You always go to edit placement and you see audience network right here. This type of advertising is only, this is what I've heard, and for the most part, it's definitely true, is you do not advertise here at all. It's more for the people who have apps that they want to promote their application, their apps, Facebook apps, their apps that you can use on cell phones or whatnot. So you don't want to advertise there ever. With Instagram, the rule of thumb is anybody who is maybe like 45 and 50 above is not really going to be on Instagram for the most part. So you can get rid of it, but again, that's a small trickle of traffic that could possibly lead to sales. So you can keep it, get rid of it. It's really up to you. For the most part, I don't use it. And I'll even tell you on Facebook, you get rid of the side column and the instant articles, and you only have news feeds. And the reason for this is because when people are on Facebook, they're swiping. They're just going through the phone and looking at what their friends are up to and all that kind of stuff. They're taking a break from work or whatever it is, and they're just swiping through it, and your ad will come right in the middle and say, hey, are you interested in this product? So Jonathan, you would probably put some sort of ad saying, hey, if it's somebody who is an Alcoholics Anonymous, you will say, hey, buy this mug as a reminder to constantly be strong, and that kind of message, right? So I'm not going to go too detailed into the actual messaging, but the main problem here was the targeting. So Jonathan, I hope this video helped you. You also need to do a little bit last minute is retargeting. So you had a bunch of people that you paid for, and the $67, maybe you did do right targeting and you paid for them to come to your website. One thing to note is that they might not always buy the product the first time. It just happens. So what you can do is you can retarget them. You come over here and you go to pixels, and then you download, you set up the pixel on your website, and then many days after, when people come to the website and whatnot, you can come back up here. You can create a custom audience based on the pixel that you had. So here's one that I did. So I targeted a very small audience of people to my website, and I had a pixel, and it was only some local people that I was targeting, and there's 30 people here now. So there's 30 people that I can retarget. Those people came to my website. They're very specific people that I wanted to show this ad to, and now I can, if out of those 30, only one person bought, well, I have 29 people who I can continue to promote myself to and build trust with, and then they can buy in the future again. So one thing to note always is that when you are buying traffic and you're sending it over, always retarget back to that audience, because the fact that they went from Facebook and they clicked on your ad to go to your product, that means they showed some sort of interest in what you had to provide. So whether they were too lazy to get their credit card right now, or something happened, doesn't mean that they can't be a customer in the future. So always, use that retargeting. And to do that, you need to set up your Facebook pixel. So you just click up here and go into pixels, and then you do that, okay? So this was a video on the targeting of the audience, the detailed targeting, specifically about how to narrow down and how to exclude people. So again, as a recap, make sure that this is our 50 to 100,000 people. 48,000 is perfect. If I were you, I would actually try this right here. See how this works out for you. It's only $5 a day. You can spend 3-4 days on it and see how the conversions work for you. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all soon. Thanks.